This meeting is being recorded. Hello and welcome. You are now listening and perhaps watching the Spark Your Creative podcast. And I am your host, Sharon Burton, CEO and creativity coach of Spark Your Creative Coaching. And I'm so glad to be with you today as we have our first guest in the new series, Creative After 40. And again, just wanted to talk a little bit about what some wonderful people are doing creatively after 40 years of age, that it's never too late to be who you want to be, who you were meant to be, no matter what has transpired in your life, and particularly for creatives. My audience is those over 40 who want to reclaim, rediscover, or perhaps launch their creative dreams. And so this series, I'm hoping by talking to some ordinary people that are doing some extraordinary things after 40 and using their creativity will help you be inspired to do your thing. As I have been with getting to know some of my guests. These quite a few of them are people that I know personally and was inspired by. And so I feel that this is probably going to be a great opportunity for you to learn what people are really doing out here and how they are not letting anything stop them. And so if they inspired me, I know they're going to inspire you. So my first guest for this series, I have been admiring for a little bit now. I've had a chance to meet her in an unlikely place, and that's Cabo, Mexico. Now, talk about doing something over 40 that you've never done. I have never traveled internationally until February 2023. And my publisher, Swiner Publishing, and shout out to Doc Swiner and her husband, Rick, who I am going to have on this podcast as well, have created an opportunity for professionals to come together and just sort of vision and set goals for the year while having fun in Mexico. And so while I was there this time, I had a chance to meet some wonderful people, and one of them is my guest today, Adrienne Charleston. And I was so enamored with her from day one. She came into we had a workshop the second day, I think it was, yeah, because it was supposed to, the agenda changed. But anyway, she came in and she was just like a fireball. And she was like, I was like, oh goodness. And she was talking about her poetry and her brand, the butterfly flow. And I was like, wow. And she had her some of her different publications and everything. And I'm like, wow, this butterfly is one of my personal symbols and has been for a number of years. And it sort of is my guidepost. What is it? My spirit animal, whatever you want to call it, for me. And so anybody that rocks butterflies is, rocks with me, right? So, she had the jewelry on, she had and I was like, wow, oh, she's taking the whole butterfly thing to another level. But I want to introduce you to her. Adrienne has been a licensed psychologist for over 10 years. She has also worked in the mental health field for over 20 years. She's becoming a psychologist, rather, is a life goal that she's attained and has continued to do all that she can to help others reach their goals as well. She is a retired Army veteran. I always find women that are in the military very interesting, because that's, being in that world and, they can kind of, kind of hang with that whole thing. I just thought that was so interesting for her.
Yes.
She's a motivational speaker, workshop facilitator, and panel moderator with 3 books published. Adrienne's first book, Butterfly Flow, a book of poetry, was titled after a poem in the book. She chose this as the title because she felt that the poem embodied her and her journey. Butterfly Flow has now become a way of life and her brand. This is because of what it means and how Adrienne believes that it relates to people. Butterfly Flow is a transformation of love, life, and learning. And we'll learn more about Butterfly Flow. I don't want to ruin the whole interview. But anyway, welcome,
Yes,
Adrienne.
yes, yes.
How you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, and it's so good to see you. Um, we just had so much fun in Cabo,
We
and
did.
you know, when you talk about butterfly and that whole butterfly flow, and just for the audience to know, she really that trip really changed my life in a lot of ways because when you're around people who are free to be who they are,
Yes.
and she was rocking a little swimsuit and my girl was dancing on this yacht. We had a yacht party and I was like,
Yes.
wow, she is comfortable in her skin. And all of the women, and a lot of us are in the same age. And, I have to tell you, I was thinking that it was going to be a bunch of young people at this thing because I was like, what if I'm the oldest person up in? And then it was like, no, the majority were like, right there with me. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just so good to see you just embody who I feel that the butterfly um, whole brand is. So
Thank
I
you.
just want to thank you for being yourself and being authentic and being you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to start with my first question and tell us what the Butterflow Life really is about and what led you to developing this whole brand.
Okay. And as you know, in the intro, it was from a poem. And I wrote a poem about not thinking that it was going to be more than that. And I
Mm-hmm.
wrote it, and then I did the I published my book in 2015. So it's a compilation of poems from throughout my life, but I didn't do anything with it. I never had read publicly. I hadn't done anything publicly. And then as I started, so I released the book and I started doing poems at the same time. So it wasn't like a lead up and then I wrote the book. Nope. I just jumped out there with a book and said, hey, I got a book and I'm gonna read y'all some poems. And instead of I was just going by Adrienne Charleston, but everybody would see the book and see the name of the book, and they started saying introducing Butterfly Flow.
Oh,
And
cute.
yeah, so I didn't choose the brand chose me.
It was you.
Yes. And so like to this day, people just call me Butterfly. So that's where it came from. It wasn't I was trying, I wasn't looking, I wasn't searching for a brand. It's just came out of me being me and enjoying what I do. And, butterfly flow or butterfly is, it's me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you talked about poetry, and I'm a poet. I'm an emerging poet. I started poetry. I started writing in 2019. And it was in response to da 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 a breakup. And breakups will drive you there. Well, sometimes they do,
Yes.
and sometimes they don't. But this was a different. It was a different kind of relationship, and ironically, it was somebody from down your way, North Carolina, actually, the Raleigh, Durham area. But let me not digress.
Right,
Um,
right.
but it was one of those things where, for me, it ended up being like the best way to express how I was feeling at the time. I would
Mm-hmm.
grab my phone when at the time that, pre-COVID, y'all, for those of it, I would take the phone and write on the note section and write out these poems on the way to work or at
Mm-hmm.
work or going home from work or in the
Yeah.
line in the bank. Um, and I was just, but the thing is, I had always written some form of poetry since I was like 12 or 13. And was
Mm-hmm.
that pretty much the same for you?
Yeah. I've always written, like I found old notebooks, I found old things, and a lot of it is relationship based. So a lot of the things that came into the book were relationship based. And I was somewhat recently divorced. I divorced in 2012.
Okay.
So I had time to myself. I was looking at myself and trying to figure out more about myself. And also in 2012, I turned 40. So it was like a whole, so when this thing emerged out of me, I think it was the butterfly waiting to be released. And sometimes we have to go in there and find it and then pull it
Right.
out. And then once it's released, you know, a lot of things can happen. So so
Absolutely.
a lot of it is relationship based. So
So what brought you to the point where you were like, okay, I need to publish these and I need to share them? Because I'll tell you, my experience was it was a little scary. I have not published my poetry yet, though I'm beginning to get a lot of people asking about that. But I did like a quick and dirty thing at Kinko's. I just put together this little chat book, and I got a bunch of friends to sit around the living room and listen to me do the thing, you know.
yes.
Um, but I have not published yet. But what got you to the point that I'm just going to kind of make it more official, being a poet, and especially at a time that you're over 40, that has not been a part of your identity publicly. What led you to that? Um,
It was actually pretty simple. I was talking to a friend and I showed them some of my stuff I had written down, and then they said, "You should publish that." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I will if I find enough of them." And yeah, so I found enough of them. I was able to put them in the order that I wanted because I have them in a specific way. So like the caterpillar, I have them in, caterpillar, chrysalis, and then butterfly. So
okay.
I have them because they are really relationship based. They are, the first part is a caterpillar when you're looking for love. And then the middle part is when you find those loves and you're trying to figure it out and like, is this right? What am I supposed to do? And then the butterfly poems are more about self and how the greatest love of all is the love of yourself. So that's how I found that I wrote them. And then once I figured I was going to name it after one of the most recent poems, which was Butterfly Flow, that's when I organized it and I had enough to put in each. I think I have like 15 in each chapter or something like that.
Okay, so
So
that's quite a few poems then. So how many do you have? To say 30,
think it's 70 something.
70 something?
It
Yeah, I
might be.
was just doing the math. I mean, to write that much, I mean, that's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. I don't even know.
So what would you describe as
17
your,
most chapters.
oh, okay, whoa,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I had a whole bunch.
So how would you describe your, and this wasn't one of the questions I was going to ask you, but it just sort of hit me. How would
Mhm.
you describe your creative process? What brings you to the point of being able to write a poem? Is there anything? Is it just any
Just the
time?
feeling. Sometimes I'll have thoughts. Sometimes I could be laying in the bed, just like you said. Sometimes you're driving down the street. Sometimes I could be on, seeing clients, and then I have to jot the note down so I don't forget to go back and get because
Yeah.
inspiration hits you at different moments, and it's good to get your thoughts out at all times if you can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what would you say that you do to, because you have to be in a certain state to be able to take in the inspiration. If you're blocked, you don't, those moments don't come. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's the same way. Like somebody might say something or a term, and I'm like, oh, I like that. That's like a good title for a poem, and I'll write it down and I'll come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also in a state of flow in a sense because I kind of make sure that I stay open enough to, kind of bring, like a sponge, kind of take in some situation. So is it that way for you, would you say?
Kind of. It just hits me, and
Mm,
when I tell you, whenever something strikes, I listen to it and I put it somewhere. Because
mm-hmm.
and that's why when I was doing the poetry, like I found all these different places that I had stuff. And back then, I was writing since the 90s and stuff, 80s, 90s. So I had a little notebook here, notebook there. Like I was just finding stuff. So, and now I have notes in my phone. I still prefer pen and paper,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
But if I don't have that, I will make a note. I'll do a voice note or whatever I can in my phone. So then I can come back to it and then there it is. And I found that if I don't, that thought is gone. It's gone forever. Like I think about stuff and I'm like, I'm gonna come back. And if I don't put it somewhere, I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's a whole poem, like it's hardly ever like one or two lines. And if it's one or two lines, I'll use it for something else, not necessarily a poem, but sometimes it's like a whole thought that I just have to get it all out. And then
me too. It was funny. I recently, matter of fact, this past week, I got up in the morning and I was thinking about some things that were changing in my life, personal life. And I was like, I was just sort of reflecting on the things that I need to change so I can move forward towards other things. I mean, we all go through this, I'm kind of going through a quote unquote spring cleaning, if there's such a word, and, situations need to be cleaned out and all that.
Yes.
And I found myself writing. And at first I thought I was going to do what you just said, like write a few lines and then just go, but that thing started going.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And I was like, wow, I just finished a poem. And, I texted to my sister because I said, what do you think? Now it hasn't, I haven't gone through the editing and all that, but she liked it. And so it was interesting how that happens. Okay. So when you talk about the Butterfly Flow Life and the whole brand, what is it that when you created the brand after you've been, branded Butterfly Flow Life, what was your goal as far as what the Butterfly Flow Life is going to be about and how you are going to present that to the public?
Actually, I just pun intended, but I just let it flow. Like I didn't have an intent. I didn't have any, it was not in the forefront of my mind when I first started. And then as I thought about what it could be, what it could mean, and then as I wrote another book, which is a self-help book, I was like Butterfly Flow is me. Like this is what it looks like. And I can be a representation of it. And then once I decided on that, then I was like, well, that's my brand. So when I opened my own therapy, I named it Butterfly Flow Counseling. And then I also have another company called Butterfly Flow Life. So everything about me is Butterfly Flow. And nowadays they say you are your brand. So what better way? And then I did get it trademarked, the Butterfly Flow.
So, very good.
Yes.
I'm impressed. A lot of people don't go that far, but I'm glad that you did. Yeah.
I just didn't want anybody else, like, a poet or an author, anybody else to just jump out there and be like, ooh, Butterfly Flow, that's cool. And then, so no, I got a trademark. I got my certificate and everything. So
Awesome.
Yes.
So what does the Butterfly Flow life look like?
It probably looks different than what people think that it looks like, because I make it look fun. I make it look easy. But
you do. Yeah, you do.
But it's work, because if you have your own business and and I will say, I like to tell people I'm a Gemini, so I have my sides, so I have to feed at least both of my sides. So, I do my business, I do my work, and then I make sure I have fun. And if I'm in fun mode, I'm in fun mode. If I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode. So it looks easy because a lot of people see me in the fun mode. They don't see the work mode. The work mode only comes like if you're a client or if I'm speaking somewhere, or, you know, sitting at home typing notes, stuff like that. That's the stuff in the background that people don't see. But the part that they do see is I'm gonna have fun wherever I go. I'm gonna be me wherever I go. And I want that for other people. So that's why I call it the flow, because people do flow in and out of different parts of their lives and different stages and places. And sometimes you can go back, you can go forth, and different things in life can take you in different stages. So it's not that I'm always happy, but if I'm gonna be out doing something, I'm gonna be happy doing it. It's not that bad things don't happen. It's just that I'll take care of that on my end. And then if I'm out doing something, I'm still gonna enjoy myself. Like, you don't have to stay in that place. Like, you can flow through life, handle your business, and still, you know, have fun. So yeah.
There's some other questions that are coming up in my head. I know. I said, I'm
Oh,
not going to do that to her. I'm not going to do that to her.
No, look, I literally go with the flow through life. So whatever questions you have, I'll do my best to answer.
Okay. Well, we're going off script again a little bit. I think one of the things I'm learning, and I've always known this, but I think there's different times of our lives where we really pay attention to, particularly the people around us, because I think in order for us to be who we are as creative people, you know, you have to really make sure that you have the right folks around you. And it's not necessarily people that are going to tear down what you're doing, but if they tear down you, you know, and we're coming out of COVID, and you know, I know as a psychologist, you know, you kind of are dealing with people that are, you know, some folks didn't make it, you know,
Right,
just,
right.
you know, they just, you know, so I just wonder, what do you do? You know, I see you kind of as a high vibration person that's operating on a high vibration. And matter of fact, I saw just about everybody that went to Cabo, you know, they were kind of high vibe people. And, you know, and what I mean by that is that everyone had their thing going on. They were very clear about what they're doing. I mean, we all are still, you know, navigating social media and all that. I mean, those things are going to be ongoing. But there's just a sense of clarity about who they were, and about what they would and maybe would not allow in their space. So how do you keep your circle, the people around you who you associate, on a high vibe level?
Yeah.
You do.
I would say for a lot of us, it takes time to find those people.
Yes.
So I didn't find my people until I was in my mid 40s. Like, you have your longtime friends, they're cool, but you have to be mindful because people like for you to be in one place.
Yes,
So
they don't want to see you. I mean, they'll applaud for you, but
right.
they, you know, but they really want to see you the same person that they met in college, or, you know, in
Yeah,
high
high
school,
school.
or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, you
And
know.
that's some of and I really realized that at my 50th birthday party. So I invited friends from all stages of my life, from high school, military,
Mm,
now, like, and we all sat down and broke bread, and I videotaped everybody saying something about me. And it was amazing how my high school friends saw me one way, but the
mm.
people who know me as this person saw me as a different way, and how they were shocked and like, and I'm like, y'all do know I'm a whole psychologist now. Like, I'm not the same, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same person. I'm nice, I'm helpful, I do a lot of things. And it was just fun to see their reaction to somebody else, how somebody else sees me. And then as I was stepping out into the poetry community, I kind of watched people. Like, I didn't, like, some people jump into communities and they just jump in. Like, I was there, I was doing my poetry, but I watched how people move. And as I got the friends that I have now, I had watched them for a good year or two before we were, and even then it was like steps in, because you have to pay attention, just like any other relationship. Friendships are relationships. So
Yeah.
you have to see what's there. You have to see if you like that person. You have to see how they are, what they're doing. And then I think as we connected, we kind of grew together. And you met one of my friends. We kind of
Yes.
grew, like blossomed together in this whole thing. So yeah, so it's been, it's tough because
Yeah.
I had some bad friend breakups during this trial, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find your friends. You have to find, a lot of people say your tribe, or the people that are for you, not just people who want to be around you and be with you, but people that are for you,
For
and
you.
that you are okay being for them too. Because if
Yeah.
they
It has to
trash,
work both ways. It has to
yes,
work
because you
both
can't,
ways.
if they're
You can't
trash,
be
you
asked.
probably don't need to hang. Yeah, you don't need to hang around them anyway.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's important because when we get into middle age, it's harder to make friends and to maintain friends. And then if you're a creative person who's doing all the stuff that maybe a lot of your peers aren't doing, there's that layer, that you have to like, okay, even whether it's your girls or even dating people that, recognize that you are an artist and yeah, this is an important part of my life. This is not something that, is like, okay, you do that little art stuff. Okay. But, no, keep in mind, that's very much a part of me,
I've had that said to me before. That's why I was like, how long are
Yeah.
you going to be doing that little thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You know.
That's kind of where my mind is these days, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
All right. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I know that that's going to be that was not only helpful for me, but I know for somebody else that's listening. Now, as a creative over 40, what would you say has been your biggest challenge? And also what has been your biggest rewards?
Um, I really absolutely just what we just talked about. The biggest challenge was finding people like me. Because as
Mm-hmm.
you step out into this, especially with poetry, like people who are older have already been doing it for a long time. So it's difficult to find people that are okay with where you are with it, and then take you in, talk to you, and all this other stuff. Now, the people who've been in it for a while, they will mentor you, they'll give you a mic and all that, but it was difficult to me stepping out by myself to navigate. But then it was the most rewarding because once I found people who not only like poetry but had their own business, who enjoyed the same things I did, like that's very difficult to find. Like you can find somebody who likes poetry, but then they might not understand the other parts of you, the other sides of you.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the most difficult and the most rewarding once it happened. So,
Gotcha.
and then also just how poetry touches people. Like some of the
Yeah.
things that I didn't know in the beginning what it was going to be. And to me, I'm just writing. And then to get feedback from people, or people to come up to you and say, oh, this touched me in this way, or I use this poem for such and such, different things like that is amazing to know that your words touch someone in a different way. And sometimes it's different. It's not even what you expected it to be when you wrote it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I've gotten that too. You know, um, Definitely have done that. Okay, cool. Um, what advice do you have for people over 40 who want to do this butterfly flow life? Who have talents that have been, like you said, you had poetry from when you were a teenager and a younger woman that was in different places and you never really considered yourself a poet, and maybe somebody discovered a little something that you do and it's like, whoa, or just even wanting to come up with their own brand that represents their creative side, their creative life. What advice would you give someone who's over 40 that's like, I don't know if that's something I need to be doing right now,
Right.
or I can do it?
Right. First of all, the simple answer is going to be just do it. Because sometimes you just have to jump out the window and do stuff. Like you have to do it, but be mindful that it's going to take some work with it too. Because like, as you know, like I said, I make it look easy, but it's work to a lot of stuff. So if you're going to do it, figure out what you want it to be, what it is that you want to do, research it, find other people who are doing it, and then, get into those communities, talk to the people, get to know other people. People are willing to help you if you ask for help, or if you just show up into that space. People are willing to help you in whatever it is that you want to do. And it's just a thing of just stepping out of your comfort zone first. But I'm going to say first, know who you are, understand who you are, because everything is not going to always work out the way you think it is in the beginning. And you have to know who you are as you stand in it. Don't let people tell you who you are. Don't let people try to mold you into what they want you to be. Jump out there the way you are. And as long as you stand in who you are, that's how they'll accept you. They'll accept you as you are for who you are. So I would say get out there, do it, figure out what you want to do, whatever you want your brand to be or the name, Google it. Google is your best friend. I Googled everything before I put it out. I'm like, let me see if this is out there somewhere else and how it's being used and all this other stuff, because you don't want to be copying somebody else or doing something somebody else is doing with the same name. Like, just find something that makes you unique, which is you. And that's what I tell people all the time. They're like, no, I'm not unique. You are. You are you. You're one of one. Unless you're a twin. And then even then, you're still one of one because y'all aren't exactly the same.
And I'm a twin. And I'm a twin. And we have a lot of similar traits, but we are very different.
Yeah.
So I'm a living witness to that comment.
Yeah.
But that's very helpful. I think, I think one of the most important things that, Adrienne, that you said was really be confident in yourself. And if it takes a minute to just sort of bring that confidence up about this new side that people may not know about or very limited know about, find ways to gain that confidence. Work with people like me as a creativity coach. One of the things that I do is really help people in that situation get themselves, work on what we can do to bring out your natural confidence, your natural abilities out so you're comfortable with it. And understanding, as we've been talking today, not everybody's going to accept this side of you. Right. And especially people that have known you for years and, you were, old girl that used to, tear the party down. She was out there doing her thing, and now you're talking about writing a fiction story about, some antebellum past. And what are you talking about? Know that it's not always going to be easy, but you will bring and will attract and bring people to the fold that will be supportive of your new side. Yeah. So, and I appreciate that. And see, you see this girl here, she has all this enthusiasm and everything. And, she did this after 40. So that's what, perfect person to have for this.
And I tell people, I believe, like, I don't know what happened when I turned 40, but a lot of things just opened up. Like I didn't care about certain things. Like certain things just weren't as important as they were in your 30s. And like, for some reason in your 30s, you care about the most insignificant things in life. And something happened at 40 and it just clicked. And it was like, clicks.
It's like, and then when you turn 50, you go through another level of.
So I'm on a whole nother level at this point. But it's one of those things that, like, I was literally jumping out there to be a poet. I had just got licensed as a psychologist. Like I was doing it all at the same time, and newly divorced, defining my identity, who I am, what it means to be a woman, a mother. Like all of that was coming at me, and And it's just in how you deal with it and decide what you're going to do with it. And I decided that, for this part of my life, for this chapter, for this butterfly phase, I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy being myself, because as women, we lose ourselves a lot along the way of life. And absolutely, to rediscover yourself is a wonderful thing. So I applaud everybody. Just find the butterfly within, release it. And see, and I do have a look, I'm gonna do a shameless plug, because I kept saying, why does that sound familiar? So I do have an online course.
Go ahead.
Be released soon, and it's called Releasing the Butterfly Within. And it's pretty much, I try to bottle what I've done for myself, and then I put it in an online course for other people to do it. And then if you upgrade, you'll get some coaching with me and everything. Like, I want people to feel this. I want people to be able to do this, embody this, and be able to go, with the butterfly flow. Like, it's a whole thing.
Hello. By the way, Kit, if you have, I know you have a poetry book, and then you have, and I have a journal.
Yes.
Of yours. Do you have those?
Yes,
things?
I do. I brought them right here. So this is the poetry book, my very first book. And it was designed by my son. He's a graphic designer. So he did all my books. Everything you see, books, shirts, website, he does all my stuff. I have an in-house graphic designer.
Yeah, you're lucky.
And this is the journal that you have.
Yes.
So yeah, you just write in here, because that's what journals are for. Everybody should have one. And this is the third book, is Finding Your Flow, A Butterfly's Secret to Happiness. And this is the workbook. And this is kind of what the online course is based off of as well. So it'll be good if you have this and do the online course as you're going through it, because it takes you through, it's a whole journey. Like, I have people who purchase this book and they're like, I don't know if I can get past, because I really make you look at yourself. And that's what a lot of people don't like to do it. But how else are you going to find your happiness if you don't even know who's in there or what's in there? Good, bad, or indifferent. We can bring it out and you can love it. So,
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. And thank you for sharing those. Now, how can people find you?
Butterfly Flow. You can actually Google Butterfly Flow, and I'm everywhere. You'll find both.
Really? Really?
Yeah. I'm Googleable. But so Butterfly Flow, AC Butterfly Flow is my IG. Butterfly Flow Life. I switched that to my store IG. So if you want to get books or shirts or anything, that's at butterflyflow.life, not .com. They have .life now. I was like, this is perfect for me. So www.butterflyflow.life. Yes. And then for therapy is adrienne-charleston.com. And but you can find all of that by just Googling Butterfly Flow. You'll find me in most places. So
And when you do your poetry, you're based in Raleigh, Durham?
Yes, Raleigh.
Okay, so you can find Butterfly Life, Flow Life,
yes,
in some of the spoken word community places.
I'm always out and about as much as I can. So yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure. I told y'all, I said some of y'all gonna end up on that podcast.
Yes. What did everybody say? Everybody said yes.
Yeah. I was like, I kept saying to myself, oh, that'd be an interesting person to have on. So I stayed true to I'm a woman of my word. But I just want to thank you for being on here. I am looking forward to going to Cabo again. I hope to see you. Will you be at the next one? Okay.
I'm planning on it.
Yeah, me too, because you never know. But just thank you for being a part of this podcast. And I just want to thank all of you that continue to follow us, whether on YouTube or on the podcast. This is part of what I do with my brand, Spark Your Creative Coaching. working with creative people, particularly those at midlife who are looking to revitalize their creative life and or unblock from what they're planning to do. And so you can always find me at www.sparkyourcreative.com. I am on IG, Instagram at Spark Your Creative, and on Facebook as Spark Your Creative Coaching, and of course on YouTube as well. So thank you all. Look forward to hearing any feedback that you have about the podcast. We definitely want to see that and hear that. And we thank you again for your support. Take care.